On today's episode of the Locked On NHL podcast, no, we did not get hacked. Rob Blake, though.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Locked On NHL podcast, your daily podcast on the NHL. We are your team every day. We thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. On today's episode of Locked On NHL, we'll talk about Rob Blake getting the boot after yet another first-round exit by the Los Angeles Kings. We'll talk about where the Kings go from here and why Marc Bergevin is probably already cleaning his office. We'll also talk about the New York Islanders, who get the number one pick. They jump to the number one slot. We'll see who had the best day and who had not a great draft lottery. And we'll take a look at the matchups for round two and which are the most tantalizing of the remaining teams. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild, joined by JD Young of Locked On Sharks. And JD, we have not been hacked. I have not been hacked.
Speak for yourself.
I do not have a revolutionary new crypto platform to advertise, unlike the Vancouver Canucks, who weird offseason for the Canucks Twitter account.
Be a normal franchise. We asked last week, can you be a normal franchise? The answer continues and forever will be no, they cannot.
Like, remember when they were advertising Alex Ovechkin breaking the goal record merchandise, and it's like, yes. Oh yeah, I remember all those years that Ovechkin spent as a member of the Vancouver Canucks. Like,
some of my favorite,
legendary.
Right up there with Mark Messier, legendary.
Come on,
whose career was better in Vancouver, Ovechkin's or Mark Messier's?
Oh my gosh, it had to have been Ovechkin's. Like 9 Stanley Cup wins, 2,000 goals. Like, come on, we clearly remember these things all as happening.
Yes, maybe. Or when the GM was like, Quinn Hughes wants to play with his brother, so we'll see if that works.
Yeah, not tampering.
What do you think was the Canucks password, and why was it Canucks 1 or as the password that got hacked?
It was Pettersson 1111.
Yeah.
Or it was Pettersson, and instead of the T's, it was 2 1s.
Ooh, there you go. Now they got to put like a pound sign or a dollar sign in there to kind of, add an extra layer of security.
Rick Tocchet had the passwords. They had to get the code. They had to get the code through Rick Tocchet's phone, and
he's like, I don't have time for this. Wrong number.
It with you. So he gave it to somebody else. That's what I choose to believe happened.
Canucks.
What actually happened, to kind of get the big news out of the way here,
actually get on track here. Yes,
Rob Blake gone as general manager of the Los Angeles Kings. My favorite statement in sports: mutually agreed to part ways. And for this Los Angeles Kings team, a roster that just, frankly, I think the expectations were that they would get further, and they have not been able to. They have not been able to crack the Edmonton Oilers here, despite, as has been pointed out on social media quite a bit, despite a very vulnerable Edmonton Oilers team this year. Like, this was the best shot to get past the Oilers, and it ended arguably in a worse fashion than any of the other first-round losses did.
Yeah, we talked about it on this very pot, you and I. I said the Kings have to be salivating to be playing the Edmonton Oilers in this current state. Stupid us. Look at it. So, yeah, you had to kind of feel, right, with the way this Rob Blake had kind of built this team, where it did feel like they went in all, I don't want to say all in, but they made some big jumps very quickly in their rebuild. And yeah, they kind of feel like they're a little bit stuck right now. So should we hear what our good friend Eddie from Locked On Kings has to say about it? Yep.
Rob Blake is out as LA Kings general manager. Hi, I'm Eddie Garcia, the host of Locked On LA Kings. The team announced through a press release Monday morning that Vice President and GM Rob Blake and the team have mutually agreed to part ways. Blake, a former Kings Hall of Fame defenseman, had been on the job for 8 seasons, overseeing a rebuild from the team's 2 Stanley Cup teams to varying degrees of success. Blake was able to trade and sign key pieces for their current roster like Kevin Fiala, Philip Deneau, Darcy Kemper, Vladislav Gavrikov, Warren Foegele, and Joel Edmonton. However, a big trade for Pierre-Luc Dubois last season was a big swing and a miss. Blake did hire 4 head coaches during his tenure: John Stevens, Willie Desjardins, Todd McClellan, and current head coach Jim Hiller. However, the biggest reason for Blake being out is a lack of playoff success. The team made the playoffs 5 of the 8 years he was on the job, but failed to advance out of the first round each time, including this season when the team didn't capitalize on a 2-0 series lead against the Oilers and lost 4 straight to be eliminated at the hands of Edmonton for a 4th year in a row. Now the question is, who will the Kings look to as the team's next general manager? Will it be an internal hire like assistant GM Nelson Emerson or senior advisor Mark Bergevin, a former GM in Montreal, or someone from outside the organization? And how will that hire affect the Kings going forward? For much more on this and more, be sure to check out Locked On LA Kings.
It's going to be Bergevin. 100%.
Oh, yeah. 1,000%. 1,000%. It's the you hired your own replacement conundrum that, as soon as they hire that senior advisor type of thing, 100% Bergeron. So, which brings its own can of worms, especially with how his tenure ended with the Montreal Canadiens. But, like, for the Kings, right? Like, this was supposed to be the year. You had the better team, and everything just fell apart. And the Sharks fan in me just tickled pink that this team cannot find its own way. But you do like what is this Kings team supposed to do, right? Because they are very much this team that you're clearly not good enough to compete with, Vegas and with Edmonton. And you look like the Ducks are coming, and you think the Sharks are, not right now, but the Sharks are going to be coming at some point here too. Like, what is this Kings team supposed to do right now? Because they got a lot of dudes kind of locked up. They don't like their aging star player. Like, it doesn't really feel like they've found guys who are ready to kind of take over and be the next like superstars on this team. So, yeah, I don't know, man. They got like $23 million in cap space in the offseason, so they can do stuff. But like, what is this team supposed to do now? Like, it's still like Anze Kopitar is like a huge part. Drew Doughty is still signed for a couple more seasons. These guys are huge pieces, and they're not getting any younger.
Yeah, and you look to, like, especially on the defensive side. I just think about a couple of trades that Rob Blake made that are definitely going to factor into him no longer.
You also smiling right now because of one Mr. Brock Faber, which I told you. I recall telling you, Brock Faber's sick, man. Brock Faber, pretty sick.
Turns out he's pretty darn good. So I'm definitely glad that that worked out in the Minnesota Wild's favor. But that Pierre-Luc Dubois trade was that is one, because you look at the pieces that are thriving in Winnipeg. Alex Iafallo, huge bottom 6 piece for them, amongst the other pieces that they got. And Pierre-Luc Dubois goes to Los Angeles. It's a disaster. It is an unmitigated disaster. You flip him to Washington. He has a great season. He fits in with that Washington team like no problem.
To be fair, Darcy Kemper, really nice bounce back season this year. Like Vezina caliber, like literally one of the nominations for the, but still, like, you got a little bit lucky on a guy like Kemper, who was also we want to get rid of this contract because it's not working out here. And again, the Caps, not to make it all about the Caps, but everything the Caps did last offseason, just absolute gold for them. But yeah, like I don't know what moves are left, and maybe like maybe they try to swing for somebody huge this offseason, but like I just don't know what they're gonna do. And this
Well,
how do you get past Edmonton? How do you get past Vegas?
What do we often see with old school GMs that come into this current new style of hockey is they double down on trying to be beefier, more physical. We got to become tougher to play against.
Yeah, but so this team was insanely good on defense, and they couldn't score. Yeah.
So the correction, the course correction is we have to be even better on defense. We have to be even better on defense than we were.
No goals.
We have to win every game 1-0.
No goals.
So
no goals. Yeah.
I'm gonna say it right here. I love that commercial, by the way. No goals.
So great.
No goals.
Quick side tangent. All the NHL commercials lately, between the no goals, the tipping, the marketing people, great job NHL there.
Get the schedule right, please.
Can we stagger some starts, please?
Yeah, please.
Stagger
come on.
Starts.
That's all I'm asking. There is gonna be a course correction because whoever comes into this is going to have their feeling that they can fix it. Like, oh yeah, I can come in and I'll do this and this and we'll be just fine. And I will say, kind of continuing to push that defensive metric, like works pretty good for Toronto, bringing Craig Berube in, I know, as coach, but they also made the change at GM after Kyle Dubas headed to Pittsburgh. That worked out pretty good. So maybe Mark Bergevin or whoever, I think we're pretty set on who we think it's going to be. Main point being that his name has been uttered like 9 times already. Maybe they add a little offense, but you're going to have to do something, it feels like, to kind of shuffle the deck chairs a little bit. Yeah. But you don't think about this too. So you got Kemper, who's 35. You got him signed for a couple more seasons. You don't really have anything behind that. So
yeah, like Eric Portolo's been okay. I know they really like Carter George, who they like had a pretty solid end of the season with Ontario Reign in his very limited debut and played pretty well in the OHL. But I do think, and you can't keep relying on some of the old goalies here that they've had, like Big Save Dave and Darcy Kemper and stuff. I'm just curious to how I don't know if do they need an injection of youth, or do they need an injection of talent, or do they just need an injection of both at this point? And then does this team take a step back to try to take 2 steps forward type of solution, for this? Because clearly the Rob Blake rebuild just didn't work, right? You kind of went all in with some of these pieces, and now you have nothing to show for it except for 4 straight losses to the Edmonton Oilers. So, yeah. Sorry, Rob Blake. Come play. The Sharks could use you on the blue line for good 17 minutes. I bet you could still do it. How old? Blake's 55 or something like that. He can probably still play. Yeah.
I mean, he's going to go be the GM for the Islanders, so that's pretty cool.
You have that first overall pick.
Speaking of the first overall pick, the NHL draft lottery was yesterday evening, and a stunner, an absolute stunner,
Stone cold stunner.
The first overall pick. New York, Frank Sinatra is he's tap dancing somewhere for this news. We'll talk about the draft lottery winners and losers, whatever sort of analogy I was just trying to make there. I don't really know. We'll continue today's episode of Locked On NHL after this.
An award-winning mattress can change your life. I speak from experience. It happened to me. After years of uncomfortable sleeps, I recently switched to Bear Mattress, and the results were instant. Bear Mattress is designed with a focus on recovery, cooling, and pressure relief to upgrade your sleep and improve your overall quality of life. I used to deal with night sweats, but Bear's best-in-class cooling ensures optimal temperature regulation, which prevents overheating and helps me stay comfortable all night long. Bear offers a wide variety of mattresses, but to get the right one for you, take their sleep quiz that matches you to your perfect mattress based on body type and sleep preferences. Go to bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout to get 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com. Use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. We are your team each and every day as well. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. The NHL Draft Lottery was last night, JD, and your San Jose Sharks get the number 2 spot in the lottery. How about the number 1 though?
Nobody saw that coming.
No.
Nobody saw that coming. The New York Islanders. Gil finally having something. Gil having himself a nice offseason here. Lou Lamoriello gone in his ancient ways. Then you get rewarded with the first overall pick in the draft. Good for our good friend Gil. I'm excited to see how Lou Lamoriello tries to fight his way back into the GM office so we can trade this number 1 overall pick for some aging third line center. But should we hear from our good friend Gil? And he has to be ecstatic, right?
Oh yeah. Let's hear what Gil has to say. Locked On Islanders.
The New York Islanders have won the 2025 NHL Draft Lottery. They now own the number 1 overall pick in this upcoming NHL Draft. They only had a 3.5% chance of getting that top pick, and yet they managed to pull it off. And there are 3 top prospects out there that the Islanders will probably be seriously considering. Defenseman Matthew Schaefer, center Michael Misa, and James Higgins, who, of course, is a Long Island native. All of a sudden, the GM vacancy just got even more attractive to potential GMs because whoever it is will start the job with the first overall pick in this year's draft. For more in-depth daily coverage of your New York Islanders, check out the Locked On Islanders podcast.
So, JD, being that you are more in the draft lottery position, your team has been than mine has been.
I find that offensive.
I'm gonna tee it up for you. So we had the order of the first 16. Let me just lay it out for you here. So the Islanders number 1, San Jose Sharks are number 2, Chicago dropped to 3. The Utah Hockey Club gets the number 4 overall pick.
The Mammoths, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to not get a copyright strike because because that has started to leak out that there's gonna be a course correction. Big on I guess today's word is course correction. But anyway,
leaks and course correction.
Lots of leaks. Nashville Predators get the 5th overall pick. Philly gets the 6th. Boston gets 7. Seattle gets 8. Buffalo gets 9. Anaheim gets 10. Pittsburgh 11. New York Rangers 12. Detroit 13. Columbus 14. Vancouver 15. And Montreal via the Calgary Flames gets the 16th overall pick. So let's just start with the winners. Who are some of the winners? Obviously, the New York Islanders, as we talked about. But who are some of the other winners in the draft lottery?
I mean, let's start with the Isles because, I mean, this is a franchise that desperately needs talent infusion. And assuming that they go Schaefer, right, who is kind of right now is the consensus number one. There is questions with him with his injury, right? He only played about 20 games this season. The OHL has not played a game this calendar year because of a broken collarbone. Didn't make it back for the OHL playoffs as Erie was knocked out in the second round to the London Knights. London Knights, Warriors type of run here, just insane. But anyway, you could see them going there because they haven't really picked a defenseman high recently. They have Cole Eisman, who they picked, not a center, but at least a forward here. They bid a little bit more forward heavy with some of their top picks. Michael Misa, kind of is a really solid choice there. Outstanding season with Saginaw, just full 200-foot player. But the Hagens thing is interesting if they do kind of go with that hometown kid thing. And Hagens had a good season. It was kind of considered the consensus number one heading into this year, but just not the kind of season to go in there. But I do think for the Islanders, who desperately needed some sort of talent infusion, whatever they get here, this is going to be the best prospect they've had in forever, right? Since Barzell probably is that's maybe the closest you can get. And even then, whoever they pick here is probably going to, the hope is to be better than Matthew Barzell. So I guess Tavares, who was the first pick that they got in 2009. So it's probably the best prospect since Tavares. But Islanders definitely big winners in here. So my Sharks too. I know they had the first pick odds, but you're getting either Schaefer or Misa, whoever's left over, the two best players in the draft. And let's just keep loading up this prospect pool, which is just ridiculous, utterly stupid, ridiculous right now for the Sharks. So, those are, I think, big winners. And then Utah, a team that had no business being picking fourth. You're going to get, especially in what's considered kind of a 4-person draft, you're going to get that last kind of dude at number 4, whether it's Martone or Frondell or whoever, they're going to be able to add a really nice piece as they continue their rebuild. So I guess they're entering their competitive window.
What about the losers?
This is two guys for you, right? You have, as a Wild fan, you can also be tickled pink. You have Chicago, right? Who I think really were hoping to get Michael Misa and get that partner in crime with Connor Bedard, where having, because you look at how they were built when they were running their in their cup runs with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, having two legit insane forwards like that. And if they get Hagens or Martone or whoever, those guys are good, but they're not Michael Misa, right? Michael Misa is going to be center in the in the NHL. And then the Nashville Predators, right? This is the absolute worst possible scenario for the Preds because you had a terrible season and then you drop 2 spots in the lottery, so you're not going to get one of those guys there. And again, they might get Hagens or Frondell or whoever, but it's just kind of the cherry on the poop sandwich that has been this season for the Nashville Predators of just what else could go wrong for this team. And you went into the draft hoping to get number 3 and you fell all the way to 5 in what's again probably a 4-person draft.
I feel bad for one person related to the Nashville Predators, and that is Ann from Locked On Predators. I feel bad for both Locked On Predators hosts, but that's it. Barry Trotz made his deal with the devil, and sometimes that's how it plays out. But
I know this great day for Seth. Seth, big winner for the draft lottery here.
Yeah, just a tremendous. I'm going to hold a press conference to discuss just the ways that this is
absolute
a win.
Hater winner right here. It's great day for Seth.
Because Wild don't have a first round pick, so the only thing I can do is root for people to have lower picks than they thought. It makes up for it, I guess, a little bit. So, the second round has begun. We had the Toronto Maple Leafs take on the Florida Panthers last night in just a crazy game. Anthony Stolarz left the arena via stretcher. That was frightening.
Not good.
And the Panthers, despite a spirited comeback, they still ended up losing to Toronto. So we're going to finish the show by taking a look at which series perk our interests of this second round, because now everybody's had a chance to catch their breath from the game sevens. So now we're on to round two. So we'll take a look at the series, which ones excite and which ones do not. That is on the way as we continue today's episode of Locked On NHL after this.
Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I'm a in-shell variety. I like hearing the crack open. I don't know why, just that nice little crack makes the taste buds tingle. But if you're a no-shell person, I'm not going to shell shame you either way. Wonderful Pistachios has plenty of amazing flavors to choose from. Throw a bag in your desk at work right around 2:30. Get that snacky feeling. They got you covered there. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
Final segment of today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. We are your team each and every day as well. And just finishing things off by taking a look at round two. JD, which series of all of them, which excites you the most?
Maybe it's the West Coast bias in me. But I think you have to start with Vegas, Edmonton, right? I think this is the best matchup of the kind of like two, like you can legitimately see both these teams winning the Stanley Cup. And yes, I know we're down to 8 and there's a legitimate path for all of these, but I think it's the most even series between everybody. And you can make a legitimate argument for both teams, right? Vegas, just how deep they are, right? Their defensive group. Aiden Hill actually has the goaltending matchup in the advantage in this. But then you go to Edmonton, right? You have McDavid and Draisaitl, and you have to look at how this team kind of came together. They're starting to get healthy here. They beat the Kings, so badly that they had to fire their GM. Like, this is one where it does feel like it could go 7, and it probably deserves to go 7 with, I think, how these two teams match up here. Like Eichel and Stone versus McDavid and Draisaitl. There's just a lot of great storylines. You look at 2 years ago when Vegas beat the Oilers on their way to their run. Like, there's a lot of really fun storylines in this series.
Yeah, that's a great pick. You left mine on the board, thankfully. I'm going to be glued to Capitals Hurricanes because
really?
I think that it's not as sexy of a matchup as some of the others are. Like, you've got Jets Stars, obviously, ton of firepower there.
That's my least favorite one, because I feel like the Stars are just going to rampage over the Jets. Like, how do you have any confidence in the Jets right now in the way they're playing? If the Blues took them to double overtime in Game 7, and then the Stars, who just went toe-to-toe with the Colorado Avalanche, probably the two favorites. Like, give me the Stars. I'll give me the gentleman's sweep in 5 here, baby. Stars in 5.
They're
getting healthy.
I had a friend who I was mentioning that Connor Hellebuyck was 10 goals saved below expected in 7 games. And they said, think about this. You guys are burying the lead. You're burying the lead. The Connor Hellebuyck got pulled in 3 games and the Jets still won the series. And I'm like, cut that sentence in half. Connor Hellebuyck got pulled in 3 games.
3 games. Yeah. Not a math guy, but 3 out of 7. That's a lot.
But I like the reason that I said Capitals Hurricanes is because I want to see I want to see this Caps team make a statement. Obviously, they did against the Canadiens, but that's Montreal. There's a large jump from the Canadiens to the Hurricanes, and if this Capitals team is for real, and I think a lot of people believe that it is, I want to see them win this in 5. Like, just blow the doors off of the Carolina Hurricanes and announce your presence. Because think about this. While the Hurricanes maybe have not advanced like super deep, they have been a playoff regular under Rod Brind'Amour for the last several years. And for a Capitals team that didn't make the playoffs last year, they had a fantastic season this year. I want to see Spencer Carberry try to out-chess Rod Brind'Amour in this series. Because then at that point,
good luck, buddy.
Yeah, at that point, then you say, okay, this Caps team's got a little magic to them. And I don't know, like Ovechkin playoff goals just hit different, I guess.
They do. Yeah, you do, like with the Caps, right? Great team. But there's always that kind of, I don't like, maybe it's just me, but that underlying, like, are they for real?
Yeah.
Type of thing, especially the way they ended the season, right? Which is fine, right? You locked up your spot. You kind of just, you earn that right to kind of take it easy at the end of the season. You played the Canadiens. Canadiens very much a, like, we're just happy to be here type of team. But yeah, like I do want to see this Cap team against a real opponent, and the Canes, very much are a real opponent for them. So it'll be interesting in game 1 here, like who sets the tone? Like, do the Canes just kind of come out and punch the Caps in the mouth, and like all of a sudden, or like, are the Caps real? Or I'm very curious to see how that one goes. So that's an interesting one. I do like the Florida Toronto of it all, right? And we got game 1 already, which does seem like this is going to Florida is just going to just try to murder their way to another Stanley Cup, which is their right when you have the players that they do with Marchand and Ekblad, who apparently cannot not be suspended at any time, and Sam Bennett, like they're that team right now. Can Toronto, right, survived against the Sens? Can they do the thing this year against the Stanley Cup? All right. What's the saying? If you come at the king, you best not miss. Like, you are given for Toronto, you are given the opportunity here. Because if you beat Florida, the defending Stanley Cup champion, I think it changes a lot of how we think about Toronto. And if this team is actually for real, instead of just being what they have been, right? A playoff choker.
Here's my quick ranking 1 through 4. Caps Hurricanes 1. Golden Knights Oilers 2. Jets Stars 3. Maple Leafs Panthers.
Doesn't do it for you. Doesn't do it?
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't tickle your fancy?
All the star power in that series. And I don't know. Like, I watched game 1. I watched quite a bit of game 1. I don't know. Like, it just doesn't hit me like the others do.
It's Vegas, Edmonton, number 1. Man, that's tough. Vegas, Edmonton is number 1, and then I kind of go Toronto, Florida, number 2, Caps, Canes, number 3, and then Dallas, Winnipeg. I just do not trust Winnipeg to make a series of this at all. I think Dallas is going to be rewarded for their efforts after a brutal first round. And I just think they got too much. And I do not trust Hellebuck right now. So, yeah.
All right. So clip this for when the Jets win in 6.
Jets sweep. Hellebuck, no goals. No goals for Hellebuck. So,
boy, that'd be quite the.
Quite the. We got to pour one out. Cam Fowler, what a first round to the prince that was promised, Cam Fowler. What a first round from him.
And by the way, first for the Cam Fowler fan club are right here at Locked On NHL.
Go check the tape.
It set a record for points by a Blues defenseman in a postseason series. just was nuts. Like we knew he would be. I fully
To be
expected
fair,
that he would do
It
it.
was Hellebuck. 2 points against Hellebuck in the playoffs count.
Yeah, I mean, they count slightly less, but they do still count.
It's that what NHL equivalency or whatever. It's just slightly below.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yes,
What?
Prince that was promised. Cam Fowler.
Love
Anyway.
to see it.
R.I.P. Prince.
That'll do it for today's episode of Locked On NHL. Appreciate everybody for tuning in here today. Let us know in the comments how you rank the second round series yourself. Which ones you are most interested in, which you are least interested in, and if your team didn't make it, what are you doing to pass the time in your off season? Make sure to. There you go. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. We have them for you every Monday through Friday as part of the Locked On Podcast Network.